Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast. My name is John Bunn, and I honestly don't think I could be in a better mood. You might be listening and saying, well, why are you in such a good mood? Well, I don't know if you know or not, but I'm a really big fan of the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they just won it all. They just won the NBA championship. I was going crazy, lost my voice, did parties. We've never won a championship. I got a lot of messages from a lot of you guys. And yeah, I said we, like I'm part of the team. I know I'm not, but I feel like it. They moved to Oklahoma 18 years ago now, and I've just been a big fan ever since they've gotten here. And it was really cool to watch my team win a championship. If those of you that don't know, I'm a big Dallas Cowboys fan, and they haven't won anything since the mid-90s. So I've been just this tortured guy over here for a long time. So now I finally know what it feels like to be Nick. He's a big fan of the Chiefs. If you don't like sports, I'm sorry. I just had to say how good of a mood I'm in because of the NBA and everything going on there. It's been a fun time with the kids and the family. Summer's in full swing. And then the other thing that's been really big is last week, a new client added photo onto their wedding video collection. They're getting married in November. They already have like a $16,000 video package, and they've been seeing a lot of the photos I've been doing, and they added on a $10,000 photo package. So that wedding itself is going to be worth, $26K now for me, which is just... honestly, I'm really feeling great about this year. 24 weddings booked, I think, at this point, and just really getting in my groove. And I know that on the last episode, I talked to you all about the fact that I was about to go shoot my very first photo wedding. I've been doing video since 2007. And this was like the very first one for me to lead photo. And so today I am going to dig into like what I learned shooting my first photo and video wedding. And I think it'll be valuable to you even if you're not going to do photo. I'm not trying to change anybody to doing photos, anything like that. But before we get into today's episode, I do want to mention our friends over at MusicBed. If you didn't know, MusicBed is our one-stop shop for all things music and licensing for music for our wedding films. Use their AI tools, use their features so that you can learn and grab the right songs for your films. I've been exclusively using MusicBed for over a decade now, and my films are so much better because of it. Go check out howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed. So I want to say to start this episode, this one's a little more personal. A few weeks ago, actually last weekend now, I shot my very first wedding as the lead photographer and had a second team leading video. I wasn't second shooting photo, not just grabbing some extra stills. I was full on the photographer and also over the video coverage for a pretty high-end wedding in Oklahoma. With a really great wedding planner, and just like, this was my first time. This is what I've been kind of dreaming about since last year when I really drew a line in the sand and said I was going to do photos for weddings. And I've worked with this couple already. I did their engagement portraits, and then I did a bridal portrait session with the bride. So the family already loves me and all that kind of stuff. But, there was just something about it. I haven't been I haven't been to a wedding in the last 12 years where I was nervous to go to the wedding. And this one, I was a little nervous. It was a lot. I wasn't just doing photo by myself. I was doing photo and leading video. So there were 4 of us. It was me and Blake Polino doing photo, and then Joel Hornstein and Nick was there doing video for me. And so, just a team of people, the planners looking at me for the timeline, the bride and her family portraits, all the stuff. Like, there's just a lot of stuff that as a videographer, I've never had to do as a photographer. And so it was a challenge, and it was a lot. It really was. But it was so exciting. It was so good. So in this episode, I'm going to walk you through everything, what I charged and am delivering, what gear that I bought to get ready, the education that I leaned on, and how I led the team, and then maybe what I would do differently. And I just sent it this afternoon, but I edited 1,500 plus images already and delivered the photo gallery with the help of Imagen.ai. And so if you've ever thought about stepping outside of your comfort zone, whether or not it's adding photo or adding Super 8 or whatever, and I've talked about that a lot on the podcast lately. I think video is in a good spot. I think there's always going to be a need for video. But my mindset has shifted some when it comes to what I'm personally going to offer when it comes to video moving forward. So let's hop into this episode about what I learned photographing my very first wedding. So the first thing I want to talk about is just what I charged and what was included. Pretty simple, but for this first full wedding weekend, doing video and photo, I created something custom. It included the full wedding weekend coverage. There was a rehearsal dinner and the full wedding day. And so it had multiple shooters, 2 video, 2 photo. It included a highlight film, ceremony and speeches, and then a wedding gallery of 1,500 images for photo. It was a big ask, and I charged accordingly, but I also delivered like my reputation depended on it. And I said this in the podcast last week, like I shot this like I was charging 15 or 20K for the photo. And for the full wedding video and photo, I charged $23,000 this weekend. About 9,000 of that was the photo side, and the rest was the 14 or whatever was for video. And so they had a healthy budget. They spent a lot on me. They did like cut some corners in other places to be able to afford me. It wasn't just this high-end luxury wedding, but it was up there. They're spending a good 6 figures plus on this wedding, multi 6 figures, which in Oklahoma is a pretty good one. So I am going to be now using Bride and Groom to edit the video, brideandgroom.video, one of our outsourcing partners, and I'm overseeing it with them. And then Imagen.ai helped me edit or get like the base edit on. And now I went through every image. I spent about 12 hours actually editing the images. I went a little bit extra on those, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I just wanted them to be extra good. And so I've emailed the couple the photos, that kind of thing already. And I'm just really excited to get those images out there because now I know that those images will help me book more weddings. So the second thing I wanted to talk about is the gear that I bought and why it mattered. Like I didn't just grab a backup camera, like I invested very intentionally. And so a couple of the things that I made sure, I bought the Sony A7 IV, which is a pretty solid photo camera. It's not as great as like the A1 or A1 Mark II. I'm about to grab, I think, the Sony A7 V. I bought the 28 to 70 2.0 lens, which was $2,500 or so. The camera was another $2,500, $3,000. I got 2 new flashes, some Godox V1 flashes. I got a new bag, new cards. Like that was like the gear that I bought. And then I also used some gear of Nick's, the 70 to 200 G Master lens. And those are my main 2 lenses. And I also used one of Joel's A7 IVs as a second camera body, so I could be running 2 cameras. And then for the video side of things, we had Sony FX3s and A7S IIIs. We just had so many cameras and lenses, and there was a lot of details to like really pay attention to, but they were very intentional. And so I knew that during the ceremony, I wanted a long lens as well as that 28 to 70 so I could get some wide shots. And if you're in need of a new zoom lens, the Sony 28 to 70, oh my goodness, that thing is great for portraits, great for video. And so, I upgraded and got certain things. I got a new moneymaker, hold fast gear strap. I got the spider holster belt clip system to see if I liked it. I bought some little things on Amazon to use, little cube things to use for flat lays and things like that. And I also bought 2 backdrop little things you roll out on the floor to do flat lays on. And so I was trying my best to have everything I needed to have a John Bunn Films style. It was really fun to get all that new gear and I've been using the gear for a while now. But that was the gear I bought and why it mattered to me. I really wanted a good portrait lens that was a 2.0. I think that's really nice whenever I'm talking about portraits and stuff like that. And so that was the gear. I don't want to bore you to death too much with the gear talk. If you have more questions about the gear, just shoot me a message. But third point is that preparation is everything, but you still make mistakes. And I definitely made mistakes this weekend. But before I went on my first wedding, I want to talk to you about this because we sell education here at How to Film Weddings. We have courses and masterminds and stuff. And some people are just like, oh, you're just trying to make money. And like, we enjoy making money, but we're not here to do this just so we can retire and make money off of unsuspecting, wedding filmmakers and to screw them out of their money. That's not what we're here for. We believe in the power of education. And so before I did this first wedding, I did dive into education. I bought a course on how to use flash, and I practiced a ton of flash photography. It was about $500 for that course. I hired a photographer friend to do a mentor session with me, which I paid her $500. I bought an editing course on how to edit about 6 months ago, and I've been diving in and learning editing. Before I moved everything to Imagen.ai, I wanted to get my own color, how I liked it. And so now I've uploaded my color presets to Imagen, and it adds all of that to me, to my brand, to my photos whenever I upload, and it culls my photos for me. And so I had a lot of education. Like, I know how to color grade films, but I didn't know how to edit color in Lightroom. And so there was a lot of just little learning curve, and preparation was everything. Like, I was not afraid of shooting the photos on the wedding day. I knew my camera really well because I've taken, 100,000 images in the last 6 months, just practicing and getting reps in and doing free sessions and all the things I've been talking about. And so when I showed up to the wedding, I wasn't worried about like, oh shoot, what does my shutter speed need to be on or anything like that. It was more like I was thinking about, family portraits. I've never been in charge of that. And, making mistakes, and I was worried that I would make mistakes or that something would happen. I just wouldn't know what to do about it. And so I had backup cameras, I had backup batteries and cards and lenses and just everything that I could prepare for. And so, and I told Blake and the team, I was just like, hey guys, I'm pretty nervous. If you see me freaking out, just like calm me down, calm me off the ledge, like help me out. And everybody was really gracious towards me. The planner didn't know it was my first wedding. I think the couple knew it was my first wedding. I don't know if they knew it was my first wedding. I mean, I knew I told them that this was like, I had not done that many I had never done a photo wedding as the lead. But preparation was everything. And to me, I came into the situation as prepared as possible, as prepared as you could be to do your very first photo wedding. And like I said, I want this to translate to you if you're looking at adding new things to your brand or whatever you're looking at, or, offering a new style, or like really wanting to push towards a different market or like a luxury market or whatever. Like, I had to own it and I had to be there, and I was confident in me, and I knew the timeline really well, and I had it saved on my phone. I had been in communication really well with the planner, and like all the things, I've worked with 500 photographers at this point in my career. So like all those things that I'd watched them do, I took the things that I liked and I ran with it. And, it was so much fun. I made a lot of mistakes, like I overshot like crazy. We had 6,500 images between Blake and myself, and I think we had like 1,000 images of the ceremony. Like what were we doing? Like, why did we need to shoot 40 shots of the same vows? Like, it just doesn't, you don't think about it until you're in the moment. Like, the ceremony was happening, and me and Blake really didn't map out who was going to be where except for the processional. And then there was several times where like I was taking a photo, and then like standing right next to me taking the same photo was Blake. And I was like, what the heck are you doing? And he's like, I don't know, man. I'm trying to figure it out too. And the photos are juicy. I like them. They're delicious. They're awesome. There's really good photos. It does not look like the first wedding. I mean, the colors are exactly what I want. I've studied color for the last 2 years. I'm like a student always of that kind of stuff. And then like framing and cropping and all the different stuff. Like I've really tried to hone that in, but I still made a ton of mistakes. The biggest mistake being like I did not, I overshot. And then also my other biggest mistake is for family portraits, like the sun was coming in and hitting the left side of the groupings. And I could have just scooted everybody up and I didn't. So there was like bright light on the left side of everyone. And so I had to go in and literally add a mask to almost every single image and bring down brightness, and just cost me a lot of time. But I was nervous as all get out. The things I did that I felt like were really great were in my mentor session, I learned how to get the right list for family photos. And I knew that I needed Blake there to yell off the photos for me. And we had 25 minutes scheduled, and it took me like 17 minutes. So it gave me an extra 10 minutes of time. Everybody was happy. Like that went really well. I wish I would have taken a little more time for flat lays. But at the end of the day, it was like, we did a pretty dang good job. Like it was definitely worth the $9,000 or $10,000 that they paid. And honestly, I'm very proud of the 1,500 or so images that we delivered. And so preparation is everything, but you can still will make mistakes. I think a lot of times people are like, well, shoot, I'm not going to go do that first wedding because I know I'll make some mistakes. And to me, it's like, there was a garter toss, which I don't really care about, but like the groom just popped out and threw it and I missed it. Like my flash didn't go off. I'm still learning like why my flash isn't flashing every time. Like I'm learning things. And I'm not saying I'm a pro, but I hope it's encouraging to you to realize you don't have to be, the best photographer, best videographer, best Super 8 in the world to like add something new or try something new. And creatively, it's very fulfilling whenever you do something like that. And so preparation is everything. I prepared, and now I have a wedding in 2 weeks from now in North Carolina, and I just feel like so excited to go do it because I'm going to shoot way less than that on images, hopefully, knock on wood. Timestamp this. We'll see if I take less than 6,500 images over the weekend. But the confidence I now have knowing I've done a wedding, I know how to, I learned so much about my flash. I had already practiced a bunch, but just like being at the reception and realizing how it really looks in a room that's dark, that's bouncing off a ceiling or straight through the flash, or what mode it was on. Like I just did a lot of practicing because at a certain point at the reception, you're like, I've got enough dancing photos. Let me try to see what I can do and practice different things. And so that for me was really important. Preparation is everything. Before I move on to the next point, I do want to talk to you about our friends over at howtofilmweddings.com/outsourcing. I mentioned them earlier, but Bride and Groom, they're one of our outsourcing partners. They've been editing my teasers and my feature films for the last few months. I've been really impressed with the way that they communicate, the way that they've been helping me. And what's interesting and how awesome it's been is I've been able to leave lots of comments on the edits that they've been doing for me, so that they know my style even better. And I'm taking the extra time to say, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this. Trying to leave as many comments as possible because that is what helps me have an editing partner. I think a lot of us think, oh, I'm just going to throw my film to an editor and then they get version 1 back and they're like, this sucks. This is not me. But really, when you think about it, it's usually the color isn't what you like, or the story, or the pacing. And if you can really dig in and help someone else understand what it is that you do, you can free a lot of time for yourself. And maybe you're out there and you say, John, I'll never let go of my edits. That's fine. But if you're out there and you're in backlog and you're just like, I don't have to edit every single one of these films, I need help, I would recommend checking out howtofilmweddings.com/outsourcing. That's howtofilmweddings.com/outsourcing. Moving on about shooting my first wedding. The fourth point I want to kind of just dig into, or bullet point kind of, is how I led a hybrid team and how I managed 4 people across 2 different disciplines, 2 different, video and photo. So we had 2 for photo, 2 for video. I was leading the photo side, and then Joel was leading the video. So that required a lot of planning ahead, clear roles, the timeline. I built out in Honeybook. Their timeline feature is really great. And I walked it through with the team and made sure that they knew where to be. I put notes, Nick be on this camera, on this lens at this time, Joel be on this camera and this lens. This is the kind of shots I want. Like I was very clear, this is what I want. And I've learned that over time. The more clear I am with what I want, the better of a leader I am. And so I also made it clear, hey guys, I'm nervous, help me out. It was definitely not a one-man show, and it was a team effort. Leading the team was one of the biggest growth moments of the weekend for me, really, to walk into a room and know and feel the pressure of like, whoa, the entire video and photo timeline of this couple's wedding is on my shoulders. And this was not a small wedding. There were 350 guests. It was at one of the premier venues in Oklahoma, one of the top wedding planners. Like it was a legit high-end wedding in town. For Oklahoma for sure. And, you know, that took a lot to lead the team and know what gear to have and where to have it and kind of just not leave it up to chance. Before I would have kind of just said, well, you guys kind of figure that out or whatever. And because I didn't want anybody to feel like I was stepping on their toes. But what I've realized is the more clear I am, the easier it is for everyone. The easier it is for everyone to know their role and how to knock it out of the park. And they all did. And Nick Miller, co-host of the How to Film Weddings podcast, came in and second shot for us for video, and Joel led. I added him the last minute. We were only supposed to have 3 of us. And I asked the mom of the bride with the timeline, I was like, I really think we have to have a 4th person just based off of where people are getting ready and all this stuff. And the mom added the 4th. So Nick was available and said he'd come out. So thanks, Nick, for doing that. He was great. Ask him about his shoe choice, though. If you slide into his DMs, he had to accidentally wear some dirty sneakers because he forgot his shoes at home. So that was funny. But Nick came and killed it. Joel killed it. The video footage is awesome. And what was neat is I was there doing the photo, and I was like, hey, Joel, grab a shot over here real quick. I want to get this shot. And I was able to kind of say, hey, Joel, come up over here over the bride's eyes. I want to see your eyelashes or whatever, and kind of direct the video and not have to be the one to do it. It just was different. And it felt like I don't only want to do photo, but I also want to do more photo. Like I like leading video and not having the pressure of doing both. But, you know, a lot of people said to me, you know, it's like much harder to do photo on the wedding day. And I think they're right. It's not harder technically, I don't think, but to me, emotionally and relationally, and like I'm a talker. I can do this all day long. I've been podcasting now for 400 episodes. I don't think I've ever ran out of anything to say, but just the having to be on and talking and leading for 10 hours straight after 4 hours the night before at the rehearsal. We got back to the Airbnb. We dumped all the footage. It was like 1 o'clock, and I just couldn't fall asleep till like 2:30. And then I woke up at 6. I was just wide awake. So I took a nap basically, and I think it was because I just had so much adrenaline from doing the wedding. And so I know that will calm down, but that was a worth noting, I guess so. The next thing I want to dig into is the reality of post-wedding, what it looked like for me to do this, because I thought I would just upload photos to Imagen and make some tweaks, and I did. But usually like these 25 practice sessions that I've done, all outside, all in good light, no flash, and so different scenarios throughout the day. There were like 12 locations we shot in at this venue, the bride's room, the groom's room, the bride prep room, the ceremony space, the reception space, the cocktail hour space. There was a mansion up the hill that they got ready and the guys did. The rehearsal dinner was outside on a champagne lawn kind of thing. And we did sunset portraits by the pond. Like there's just a lot of different lighting scenarios and and then 2 different cameras and getting them all synced up and all that kind of stuff. I was definitely a newbie, and I knew it would take a little bit longer. 6,500 images. I mean, I have spent somewhere between, I was trying to add it up before the podcast, probably 12 full hours of just sitting and editing to do 1,500 images. And, I'm going through and removing exit signs and doing a bunch of extra stuff that you probably don't have to do on an entire gallery. But I just wanted to do it for this first one just to kind of see. And so it took a week, a few hours here, a few hours there. I have to give a shout out to Imagen.ai. I'll put a link in the description if you guys that are out there want to give it a try. I think they give like 1,500 free images or something like that. So I'll try to find that and put it in the notes. But if you're out there, and they're also adding video for color grading. I don't know if you've heard or seen that. This is not supposed to be an ad for them, but here we are. Imagen's amazing, and they're doing beta video color grading as well. So if you want any info on that, just hit the link that I'll put in the notes. But I edited on my MacBook Pro instead of this screen that I have here that I know is not color balanced. I had to go back and forth on my phone to make sure the color was what I really wanted it to be. And then I was learning new tools. I was in the process of editing. I'm asking Lightroom, how do you do this? How do you change it from a portrait to a landscape image? How do you rotate it? I'm just growing as an artist inside of Lightroom, and it's so fun to ask questions and learn and ask questions and learn. And I sent my photographer friends a question how do you sync up all these cameras? We didn't do that before. I guess we should have done that before. I'm learning things. But the post-wedding reality is that 1,500 images is a lot. It's probably 300 too many. But with the rehearsal and rehearsal dinner that I did, they had a lot of little things, a lot of details, and I just wanted to over-deliver. And that's what I did. And so I've sent it over. The couple is already in love with all the images, all that kind of stuff. They're very happy. The planner's super happy. Can't believe that the photos are done. I'm heading out on a vacation next week, so I just wanted to get it all done. And now the video is being edited by brideandgroom.video, and I feel like for what it is worth, I will bring in $22,000 or so for this wedding after paying everybody, after paying the editing. I'm going to walk away with $15,000 or so for doing this wedding. And that to me is a huge win. And so, my biggest takeaway, I think before we get headed out for the weekend or for the week, sorry, it's almost the weekend here, but this is the future. But before I head out for this week, my biggest takeaway, I think, and this goes across anything that you're doing, but growth requires stretching. I walked away very tired from that wedding, but I was so fired up and so excited. And so trying something new really stretched me, but it also grew me. And if you're sitting there on an idea or a skill or service that you've wanted to explore, I would just encourage you to take the step, start doing the thing. It doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful. It really doesn't. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be on purpose, and it needs to have action behind it and take steps. And I was nervous to announce that I was going to do photo. And then I was nervous to do my first photo session. And then I was nervous to do my first paid photo session and my first engagement proposal, someone getting engaged, or my first bridal session, my first couples session. All these different things made me nervous. But after I'd done the first one, the second one, the third one, the fourth one, it's this is becoming muscle memory. I feel good about this. My images are getting better. It's quicker to edit now. It's my skill set is growing. And what that has done is it's now pushed me a little right at 6 figures extra of revenue this year just for photo. And I know I already had an established video brand, and I know I'm a good salesperson and stuff like that. But if I had never taken the steps, I would have never grown. So those are my points for today. I hope this is helpful for you. And I just want to say that if you do have questions for me on what I'm doing over here, there's a lot of stuff we're working on behind the scenes at How to Film Weddings. And we're going to be talking about some big changes in the next few weeks. As I grow, as Nick grows, as we're just changing, there's a lot of stuff going to be changing around here. And I'm really excited about it. And nervous about it, but at the same time, I know that it's the right thing to do. And so more on that later, a little Easter egg for you, but I just want to say thanks. And before heading out, just last little plug for the day, delivering these photos and videos on VidFlow has been just such a game changer for me. Their hybrid galleries allow me to do both video and photo. And to be honest, it's just so seamless and so easy to get my videos and photos in one spot. I can embed them into my website. I can password protect them. I can do a lot of stuff. If you didn't know about VidFlow, check out howtofilmweddings.com/vidflow today to just kind of check out all the promos. You can upload videos only, photos only, or both. They just added that photo feature, and I'm so thankful that they did. So that's all I have time for today. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and until next time, we'll see ya.